20 watch brands you need to ditch, and 5 you should switch to. Not all brands deserve your money in 2026. These 20 watch brands are dying, and they're taking your money with them. Some are fashion scams, selling $30 watches for $200. Some charge luxury prices and deliver catastrophic depreciation. Some create artificial hype without building sustainable businesses. And some exploit loyal collectors through waitlists and price manipulation. But you don't have to buy these 20 brands. In this video, we will also show you the 5 brands you should switch to. So, 20 brands to ditch, 5 brands to buy. Let's start with the bends to ditch. Number 1. Daniel Wellington. This is the king of Instagram watch scams. Daniel Wellington is what happens when a marketing company decides to sell watches as an afterthought to their influencer campaigns. Philip Tysander built the entire brand starting 2011 on one strategy. Flood Instagram with influencers posting discount codes. Send free watches to anyone with followers. Pay commission on sales. Let influencers create the brand identity through lifestyle photos. The watches became props. People bought the lifestyle aesthetic, not the actual product. What's the actual product? $5 Chinese quartz movements sourced from standard suppliers. $10 cases made from alloy, not actual stainless steel on cheaper models. Straps that literally disintegrate within months because they're bonded leather that can't handle moisture. Mineral crystals that scratch if you look at them wrong. The watches have no water resistance rating. None. You can't wash your hands wearing one without risking water intrusion. The movements are so cheap that watch repair shops refuse to service them because replacement movements cost less than labor. When a Daniel Wellington breaks, you throw it away. That's the business model. Check eBay completed listings. $200 retail watches sell used for $30 to $40 with 0 bids. That's 85% depreciation. Nobody wants to buy used Daniel Wellington watches because everyone knows what they actually are. Advertising props with watch movements inside. The brand itself is dying. Influencer marketing saturation peaked years ago. Discount codes stopped working when everyone realized everyone has discount codes. The emperor has no clothes, and the secondary market is confirming what collectors always knew. These aren't watches. They're Instagram posts you can wear on your wrist. But are they as worse as the next brand on this list? Number 2. MVMT. MVMT positioned themselves as disruptors, cutting out the middleman to offer luxury watches at fair prices. The truth? They are the middleman. They're dropshipping the same cheap Chinese movements everyone uses and calling it innovation. Movado bought MVMT for over $100 million in 2018. That tells you how profitable selling $30 watches for $150 can be. It doesn't tell you anything about watch quality, because there isn't any. The watches look decent in photos. In person, they feel hollow, lightweight that screams cheap materials, finishing that shows machining marks, bracelets with gaps and rattles. These are not watches built to last. They're built to look good enough on Instagram to generate affiliate commissions. And their strategy is popular because this next brand does something like it. Number 3. Michael Kors. Michael Kors doesn't make watches. Fossil Group makes watches and licenses the Michael Kors name. You're paying for a fashion logo on a mass-produced Fossil watch that costs the same as a regular Fossil without the designer name. The movements are basic quartz, usually Miyota. Nothing wrong with Miyota movements, but they're $30 components. The cases are stainless steel in name only, often alloy with plating that wears off. The crystals are minerals that scratch easily. You can buy the same watch without the Michael Kors logo for $60. With the logo, it's $200. That $140 premium is pure brand licensing. You're not getting better quality. You're getting a name that means nothing in watchmaking. Same as this next brand too. Number 4. Guess. Same scam as Michael Kors, different fashion brand. Guess licenses their name to Sequel Group for watch manufacturing. The watches are cheap quartz movements in fashion-forward cases. They're jewelry that happens to tell time, not actual watches. Depreciation is catastrophic. Most used Guess don't sell at all. The secondary market doesn't want fashion watches because fashion changes. Last year's trendy design is this year's dated garbage. And speaking of trends, you'll expect this next brand to make better watches. Number 5. Armani Exchange. Armani Exchange watches are made by Fossil Group under license. Notice a pattern? All these fashion brands outsource to the same manufacturers: Fossil, Sequel, Movado. These companies make watches for dozens of fashion brands. It's the same watch with different logos. The Armani Exchange name has zero credibility in watches. Giorgio Armani makes nice suits. Armani Exchange makes diffusion line fashion at lower prices. Their watches reflect that positioning: cheap manufacturing with premium branding. But at least they aren't known for their watches. This next brand is a watch manufacturer, and it still manages to mess things up. Number 6. Fossil. Fossil is different because they're actually a watch manufacturer, not just a fashion brand licensing their name. But they're still on the eviction list because they prioritize volume over quality. Fossil makes watches for Michael Kors, Kate Spade, Diesel, Skagen, and dozens of other brands. They're manufacturing hundreds of thousands of watches per year. That volume manufacturing means minimal quality control and zero attention to detail. The watches work fine for a year or two. Then they don't. The movements fail. The cases corrode. The crystals crack. They're designed for short-term use and replacement, not longevity. That's the opposite of what watches should be. And this next brand knows all about that. Number 7. Nixon. Nixon started as a skater, surfer, lifestyle brand, making affordable watches for young buyers. That's fine. But they never evolved beyond that. They're still making cheap quartz watches with trendy designs that date quickly. The movements are basic. The materials are entry-level. The pricing is inflated beyond what the watches deserve. You're paying $50 to $150 for watches that should cost $30 to $60 based on actual components and manufacturing. Nixon survives on brand recognition in action sports culture. But that recognition doesn't translate to watch quality or value retention. These watches depreciate hard and fast because they were never meant to be collectible. This next brand is supposed to be a collectible. They are even one of the biggest brand names in watchmaking. And no, it's not Rolex. Number 8. Hublot. Hublot's Big Bang retails for about $20,000 minimum, $30,000 to $50,000 for special editions with exotic materials. Check Chrono24 right now for used prices, $8,000 to $12,000. That's 60% depreciation. You didn't buy an investment, you set $12,000 on fire and got a watch as consolation prize. Let's be specific with models. The Big Bang Unico Titanium retails for around $21,000. Used prices hover around $9,000 on the secondary market. That's $12,000 gone. Evaporated. The Big Bang King Gold retails for, give or take, $32,000. Used prices around $15,000. $17,000 gone into thin air. Why does Hublot depreciate like a crashed car? Because collectors reject it. The secondary market is collectors voting with their actual money on which brands hold value long term. Hublot loses catastrophically in every poll. The reason is simple. Collectors see what's inside these watches. The movements are base ETA or Celita calibers with Hublot decoration and modifications. The Hub 1242 movement? That's modified ETA 2894-22. The Hub 1155, modified Zenith El Primero. You're paying $20,000 for movements that cost manufacturers $300 to $500 as base calibers. Jean-Claude Biver, the marketing genius who revived Hublot, understood something crucial. You don't need great watches to build a luxury brand. You need great marketing, celebrity placement, and artificial scarcity through limited editions. Usain Bolt wore Hublot. Maradona wore Hublot. Jay-Z mentioned Hublot in a song. Cool story. That's not watchmaking. That's celebrity endorsement contracts. The art of fusion marketing talks about materials innovation. Ceramic cases, titanium, carbon fiber, King Gold proprietary alloy, Magic Gold scratch-resistant gold. These are legitimate material innovations. But material innovation doesn't create value when the underlying watch uses commodity movements, and nobody wants to buy it used. When the celebrity hype dies and the limited edition frenzy fades, what remains? A watch with base movement wearing exotic materials, priced at $20,000, worth $8,000 on secondary. The market is telling you the truth. These watches were never worth retail pricing. The only question is whether you'll listen before or after you lose 60%. This next brand is hoping you don't actually listen to reason. Number 9. Panerai. Panerai charges $8,000 to $15,000 for watches using base ETA movements with Panerai nameplate decoration. The OP movements are ETA 6000 497, ETA 7,750, and similar calibers that cost manufacturers $300 to $500. The secondary market sees through this. Panerai watches that retailed for $12,000 sell used for $7,000. That's 42% depreciation, and it's accelerating as information spreads about what's inside. Richemont is trying to move Panerai upmarket with in-house movements and complications, but the damage is done. Collectors know Panerai built its modern reputation on overpriced base movements and Sylvester Stallone wearing one in a movie 30 years ago. The cases are distinctive. The crown guard is iconic, but distinctive design doesn't justify $15,000 pricing on $500 movements. That's a 30 times markup on the most important component. But what is with proper manufacturers messing up? I, for one, didn't expect this next manufacturer to be on this list. Number 10. TAG Heuer Connected. TAG Heuer Connected smartwatches retail for $1,800 to $2,000. They're Android Wear watches in TAG cases. In 3 years, when Google stops supporting the OS, they become expensive paperweights. A mechanical TAG Heuer Carrera depreciates 30%, normal for the category, but it works in 20 years with basic service. The Connected? Dead. Obsolete. The battery won't charge. You spent $1,800 on built-in expiration. TAG designed the Connected with swappable modules so you can replace the smartwatch with mechanical. Great idea, except the mechanical module costs $1,500 more. You've spent $3,200 total on a watch you could have bought as pure mechanical for $2,000. The concept is flawed. Smartwatch buyers want Apple Watch. Mechanical buyers want traditional watchmaking. The Connected serves neither group well. It's a compromise satisfying nobody. The next watch on this list will not only not satisfy you, it'll annoy you too. Number 11. Breitling. Breitling charges $5,000 to $10,000 for watches that depreciate 40% to 50% immediately. The movements are mostly base ETA or Sellita, with Breitling modification. Some in-house calibers now, but the pricing doesn't reflect the value. Breitling is trading on aviation heritage and legacy credibility that doesn't justify modern prices. The watches are large, busy, and polarizing. Either you love the aesthetic or you don't. But even people who love the aesthetic aren't willing to pay secondary market prices that support retail. That gap tells you everything about value. And speaking of values, the next watch has what I call a reverse value. Number 12. IWC. IWC prices have inflated significantly while secondary values stagnated. A $10,000 Portuguese chronograph sells used for $6,000. A $12,000 pilot's watch sells for $7,000. Richemont owns IWC and is pushing prices up across the catalog, but IWC doesn't have Rolex's cachet or secondary market strength. They're pricing like luxury leaders while performing like mid-tier brands on resale. The watches are good. The movements are solid. The finishing is appropriate for the price. But good isn't enough when you're losing $4,000 immediately on a $10,000 purchase. That's 40% gone the moment you buy. Well, at least IWC has some measure of quality. I genuinely don't know what this next one is doing. Number 13. Montblanc. Montblanc makes pens. They make nice pens. They don't make watches with credibility. Richemont bought them and pushed them into watchmaking, but the market doesn't respect Montblanc as a watch brand. The watches use base movements with Montblanc decoration. The finishing is decent. The designs are inoffensive. But nobody wants to pay $6,000 for a watch from a pen company when actual watch companies offer better value. The secondary market is brutal. Montblanc watches lose 50% to 60% immediately. They don't have quality, but the next watch brand does. They also have one other problem too. Let's get into it. Number 14. Ming. Ming makes beautiful watches, genuinely impressive design, interesting complications, quality finishing. But the 2022-2024 hype evaporated and secondary prices collapsed. The problem isn't quality. It's service and sustainability. Ming is a small operation making limited runs. If you need service in 10 years, can you get it? Maybe, maybe not. That uncertainty kills secondary market value. Watches that were selling above retail in 2023 are now selling below retail in 2026. The hype cycle moved on. Collectors who bought for investment are stuck with watches they can't sell without taking losses. That's the hype trap. But if they can fix their sustainability issues, maybe they'd be an all-timer. What do you think? Number 15 has to do the same too. Number 15. Halios. Halios makes solid dive watches at fair prices. The problem is availability and service. They do limited drops that sell out immediately. If you miss the drop, you're buying secondary at markup. If you need service later, you're hoping the brand still exists. The business model creates artificial scarcity without building sustainable infrastructure. That works for generating hype. It doesn't work for building collector confidence long-term. Secondary prices spike on launch, then crater as reality sets in. These watches become hard to sell because buyers worry about service and parts availability. That worry is legitimate. And it's the same for number 16 too. Number 16. Kurono Tokyo. Kurono Tokyo launched with beautiful chronographs designed by Hajime Asaoka. The hype was massive. The first releases sold out in minutes. Secondary prices went crazy. Then the hype died. The watches are still beautiful, but they're orphans. Asaoka is a one-man operation. The watches use modified Miyota movements, which are serviceable anywhere. But the cases and dials are custom, and if anything breaks, you're hoping Asaoka responds to emails. The secondary market softened dramatically in 2025-2026. These watches were trading at 2 to 3 times retail. Now they trade below retail. The hype trap complete. The next watch doesn't want hype. It wants heritage, but it is failing so badly at it. Number 17. Fears. Fears is a revived British brand making watches in Switzerland. The marketing emphasizes heritage and British watchmaking credibility. The reality is small-scale production with uncertain long-term viability. The watches are fine. The pricing is reasonable for what you get, but the sustainability questions loom large. Can Fears support these watches in 10 years? Can you get service? Can you get parts? These questions destroy secondary values. Buyers don't want uncertainty. They want confidence that the watch will work and be serviceable long-term. Fears haven't proven that yet. Number 18 has proven it several times, but it's still on this list, and you might hate me for it. Number 18. Rolex. New from an authorized dealer. Buying a new Rolex from an authorized dealer in 2026 is buying at the top of the market while participating in the most sophisticated exploitation scheme in luxury watches. The pricing tells part of the story. The no-date Submariner crossed $10,000. The Steel Daytona hit $16,900. The GMT Master II Batman is $11,800. These are mass-produced steel watches. Rolex manufactures slightly over 1 million watches annually. This isn't scarcity. This is manufactured allocation designed to maintain artificial pricing power. The waitlist game is where exploitation becomes systematic. Here's how it actually works when you try to buy a professional steel model from an authorized dealer. You walk in wanting a Submariner. The dealer smiles and explains there's a waitlist. How long? They won't say. Could be 2 years, could be 5, could be never. But they suggest building a relationship by purchasing other models that are available. So you buy a Datejust you don't particularly want for $9,000. 6 months later, you return and buy an Oyster Perpetual for $6,000. $15,000 invested. A year later, they call offering a two-tone Submariner for $15,000. You wanted steel, not gold. You decline. The relationship resets. You're back at the bottom of the invisible list. Meanwhile, gray market dealers have steel Submariners in stock right now for $12,000 to $13,000. Above $10,000 retail, yes. But available immediately, without games, without buying watches you don't want, without uncertain years-long waits. That gray market premium, that's the cost of opting out of authorized dealer exploitation. And here's the dark secret. Many authorized dealers themselves are feeding the gray market. They sell allocated pieces to gray dealers at slight discounts. Those pieces appear on Chrono 2.4 at premiums, and the cycle continues. The system is designed to extract maximum value while maintaining artificial scarcity that justifies the extraction. Rolex increased prices 3 times in 12 months. Not because movements improved, not because case finishing evolved, not because materials changed. The watches are essentially identical to previous years. Rolex simply realized they could charge more because collectors kept paying. That's not pricing based on value. That's pricing based on how much exploitation the market will tolerate. Is the Submariner a good watch? Absolutely yes. Is it worth $10,000 based on manufacturing costs and watchmaking complexity? That's debatable. But the real question is different. Does Rolex as a company respect you enough to deserve your $10,000? Given the waitlist exploitation, the systematic price increases, the authorized dealer games that make you buy watches you don't want, the honest answer is increasingly no. Let's move on to 19. Number 19. Omega. Omega is hiking prices to chase Rolex, but secondary values aren't following. The Seamaster Professional 300 meters retails for $6,000 minimum. Used prices? $4,000. The Speedmaster Professional Moonwatch hits $7,000 retail. Used prices hover around $5,000. Again, 30% gone the moment you buy. Swatch Group is testing Rolex's strategy: raise prices and rely on brand strength. It's not working. Omega doesn't have Rolex's cachet. They don't have the waitlist mystique. They don't have the secondary market strength. The watches are good. The coaxial movements are innovative. The finishing is solid. But good isn't enough when you're charging luxury prices without luxury value retention. Omega should compete with Tudor and Grand Seiko at $4,000 to $6,000, delivering superior value. Instead, they're trying to compete with Rolex at $8,000 to $10,000, and losing because the secondary market won't support those prices. Here we are, the final watch you should ditch. Number 20. Cartier. Cartier makes jewelry. They make excellent jewelry. But their watches are jewelry that happens to tell time, not watches that happen to be beautiful. The movements are mostly basic ETA or Sellita, some in-house now, but most of the catalog uses generic Swiss movements. You're paying for the Cartier name and the jewelry design, not watchmaking excellence. A $10,000 Cartier watch uses a $300 movement. That's fine if you're buying jewelry. It's not fine if you're buying watches. The secondary market agrees. Cartier watches depreciate 40 to 50% because watch collectors don't value them. The Tank is iconic, Santos is beautiful, but they're fashion watches at luxury prices. If you want jewelry, buy Cartier. If you want watches, buy from actual watchmakers. Now that you know the brands that you should ditch, replace them with these 5 brands. Number 1. Tudor, the real Rolex alternative. While Rolex builds investment jewelry and waitlist games, Tudor builds the tool watches Rolex used to make. The 2026 Black Bay 58 is objectively better value than the Submariner. Both are dive watches. Similar cases, similar water resistance, similar aesthetics. The Submariner costs $10,050. The Black Bay 58 costs $3,800. You're paying 62% less for 90% of the same watch. The movements tell the story. Black Bay uses Tudor's in-house MT5402, 70-hour reserve, silicone hairspring, COSC, chronometer certified. The Submariner uses Rolex's 3230, 70-hour reserve, similar specs. Both are excellent. Both deliver similar performance. The finishing difference exists, but it's minimal at wrist distance. Put them side by side, and yes, Rolex has slightly better case polishing. Is that difference worth $6,200? Only if you value prestige over actual watch quality. Tudor proved themselves with in-house movements since 2015. The MT5602 chronograph, column wheel, vertical clutch, 70-hour reserve. That's high-end chronograph engineering at $5,000 instead of $15,000. Tudor movements are COSC certified, running -4 to +6 seconds daily. Same certification as Rolex, same testing, same accuracy. Tudor doesn't charge a $5,000 premium for certification that costs the same, regardless of brand. The Black Bay represents what Rolex was in the 60s. Tool watches for actual use, priced fairly, available without games. You walk into a Tudor dealer and buy a Black Bay the same day. No waitlist. No relationship building. No buying watches you don't want. Fair exchange of money for watches. Tudor is what Rolex used to be before Rolex became what it is now. This next is also a heritage watch like Rolex. Number 2. Christopher Ward, the Giant Slayer. Christopher Ward is embarrassing Swiss giants by offering a $12,000 finishing for $1,200. The Bel Canto Jumping Hour uses an in-house module on Sellita base movement to create striking complications usually reserved for watches costing 10 times as much. Retail. 4,500. It's a chiming watch that plays a note on the hour. Traditionally expensive because it is mechanically complex. Christopher Ward proved you can deliver striking complications at attainable prices through clever manufacturing and direct-to-consumer sales. No authorized dealer network means no dealer margins. No trade shows means no marketing waste, just watches sold directly at fair prices. The 12 is their integrated bracelet sports watch, competing with Royal Oak and Nautilus at 1% of the price, $1,200 on bracelet. The case finishing uses multiple surfaces, brushed, polished, and different angles. Dial has proper texture and depth. Bracelet integration executed properly. British watchmaking has a heritage as legitimate as Swiss. Christopher Ward is reviving it by focusing on what matters, the actual watch. Not marketing, not celebrities, not dealer relationships. Just making the best possible watches at fair prices. The 2026 industry benchmark for value is Christopher Ward. They're proving luxury finishing doesn't require luxury prices if you eliminate unnecessary costs. Number 3 is a pro at eliminating costs. Number 3, Grand Seiko, the artistry king. If you want high horology, skip the Swiss waitlist. Grand Seiko's Zaratsu polishing and spring drive technology are technically superior to anything in the $10,000 bracket. Zaratsu polishing creates perfectly flat, distortion-free surfaces. Hold a Grand Seiko case at an angle and watch light reflect without waviness or distortion. That's optical flatness from precision polishing. Swiss polishing is good, Zaratsu is better. Spring drive is technically superior to both mechanical and quartz. It uses a mainspring like mechanical, powered by wrist motion. But it uses electronic regulation like quartz, accurate to 1 second daily instead of plus or minus 5. The seconds hand glides instead of ticking because there's no escapement. Grand Seiko delivers this at 6 to 10,000. Comparable Swiss watches cost 20 to 30,000. The value gap is enormous because Grand Seiko isn't trying to be Swiss. They're being Japanese. Different aesthetics, different priorities. The manufacturing approach differs too. Grand Seiko makes everything in 2 studios in Japan. Shinshu for spring drive and high-accuracy quartz, Iwate for mechanical. Every component in-house. Hairsprings, balance wheels, cases, dials, hands, all manufactured to standards exceeding Swiss industry norms. Quality control is obsessive. Grand Seiko adjusts movements in multiple positions, multiple temperatures, and extended periods. Result: accuracy beating chronometer standards without needing certification. A Grand Seiko mechanical typically runs plus or minus 3 seconds daily. COSC allows plus or minus 4 to plus 6. Grand Seiko beats the standard without bothering to get certified. Dials separate Grand Seiko completely. Textures inspired by nature, snowflakes, tree bark, Mount Iwate landscapes. These aren't printed, they're pressed or etched into the dial surface. Depth and complexity rival haute horlogerie at fraction of price. Japanese artistry without Swiss pretension. If you want high horology you can actually buy without waitlists or games, this is it. Or you can go German. Number 4, Nomos Glashütte, the Minimalist Pro. German engineering, in-house movements, and design language unchanged because it was perfect the first time. Nomos is the quiet luxury winner of 2026. Bauhaus design philosophy applied to watchmaking. Form follows function with 0 unnecessary elements. Nomos watches are thin, legible, elegant without trying. The tangente is 35 millimeters in diameter, 6 millimeters thick. Disappears under shirt cuff. Dial perfectly balanced with just enough information, 0 clutter. Every Nomos movement is manufactured in-house in Glashütte, Germany. They make their own hairsprings, escape wheels, everything. That's vertical integration most Swiss brands don't achieve. Nomos does it at 2 to 4,000 instead of 10 to 20. The DUW movement family uses Nomos swing system, proprietary escapement design. More efficient than Swiss lever escapements, meaning longer power reserve and better timekeeping. Movements finished beautifully with Glashütte striping and perlage. Quality visible through exhibition caseback. Design hasn't changed significantly since the 90s, because there's no reason to change perfection. The tangente from 1992 looks essentially identical to the tangente from 2026. That's confidence. Most brands chase trends and release new models constantly. Nomos refined their design once, then just made it better within the same aesthetic framework. Quiet luxury means quality without logos, substance without flash, confidence without peacocking. It doesn't mean that a watch shouldn't be sophisticated. Just look at this next watch. Number 5, Serica. The Military Maverick. Serica went from micro-brand to mainstream in 2026 by doing one thing right: making COSC-certified chronometers, with design language feeling like a lost 50s French military diver. The 5303 is the flagship. 39 millimeters, automatic movement, 200 meters, water resistance, COSC chronometer certified. Certification means movement tested and verified to run within -4 to +6 seconds daily. Accuracy you can trust, certified independently. COSC certification at 1500 is unusual. Most chronometer-certified watches cost $3,000 minimum. Serica delivers it at half price by focusing on essentials and eliminating unnecessary costs. No in-house movement, they use modified Sellita SW. No exotic materials, stainless steel and sapphire. Just proper watchmaking executed well. Design pulls from 50s French military dive watches that never existed. Retro-inspired, without copying specific references. Cushion case, creamy lume color, minimalist dial evokes vintage military while being thoroughly modern underneath. Serica proved micro-brands can scale without compromising. Started making 200 watches yearly, now thousands, didn't change quality, didn't inflate prices, built infrastructure to support growth while maintaining values that made them interesting initially. This is a micro-brand success story. Start with a compelling product, build reputation, scale carefully, stay true to original values. Serica did it right, and 2026 is their breakout year. So, that's it. 20 brands you can ditch, and 5 brands that you should switch to. Choose brands that respect you as much as you respect them. Choose watches that deliver value instead of destroying it through catastrophic depreciation. Choose quality over marketing, substance over hype, fair dealing over systematic exploitation. Now go wear something worth respecting, like this video, and subscribe to this channel for more.